So I guess
Right.
Must be something new.
we can get started because we do have a quorum, and then if he arrives late, then he can join us when he arrives. So we'll start. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Elected Officials Compensation Commission to order on April 30th, 2025 at 6:01 p.m. The first order of business would be introductions, as we only meet every 2 years. If you just want to give a quick introduction of yourself.
George Dutry, resident of Garden City. Joseph Bandy, resident of Garden City, current chairperson of this commission.
Kathleen Iwinski, Garden City.
Kurt Tingstead, Garden City resident.
Okay. Our next order of business will be the election of the chairperson for the 2025 meeting. If anyone would like to make a nomination.
I'll nominate Joe again.
All right, is
I
there a
second that.
He's not, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, so the motion is to nominate Joe Bandy as chair. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passes 4-0. The next order of business is the approval of the March 14th, 2023 minutes. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion. Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. So our next item will be to review compensation and duties of officials, and kind of the purpose of why we're here. So the Elected Officials Compensation Commission meets every other year in the off-election years to set the rates of compensation for mayor, mayor pro tem, and city council. This is our required meeting for that. I will kind of give you a brief overview. In front of you, you have the agenda packet I put together for you. Among that packet is one of the reasons why having this in April is I was waiting on the city of Battle Creek conducted a compensation survey statewide. We had over 200 different municipalities respond to the survey. What I did was I extrapolated the data, pulled out, because if you have a village that's got 500 people, or you have the city of Detroit, that's not apples to apples. So what I tried to do is I took the 10 cities closest in population to us on either above or below our population that responded to the survey, put their numbers in here so you can kind of see what their mayor, if there's a vice mayor, mayor pro tem, council makes. Then it totals up the total for all mayor and council compensation. And the two columns at the end, you can kind of see like per resident what mayor and council make. If you take total amount paid to mayor and council, divide it by your population, that's the ratio you get. So it does show Garden City currently is $2.22 per resident in compensation. It tends to be, slightly above average on there. Like I said, you do have some cities that are outliers. Like even, Royal Oak with their population, they do 7 cents per resident roughly on their pay. But then you do also have Traverse City, which is closer to $4 per resident. So this is just kind of the data that I provided you for that survey. You also have a copy of a Wayne County survey that was put out that basically doesn't have that exact data, but it does kind of show if the mayor's part-time, if the mayor's full-time, their compensation for all the municipalities that responded out of Wayne County. The one other note that I'd like to make to the Compensation Commission before we begin, because it has been 2 years since we met. Last time we met, Compensation Commission voted to increase the rate of pay for mayor and council. Over the last 2 years, the city's economic and financial picture has changed. The rosy picture that we had portrayed to us 2 years ago, we do not have that any longer. So I think it was worth me noting that as a department head, just seeing it firsthand, we're dealing with ongoing budget issues. Department-wide across the board, we're making cuts. A lot of those cuts sometimes come in the form of staff positions who leave, and then we don't fill them, they just remain vacant, or some individuals who had positions eliminated without, leaving in a vacant position. With that, I will turn the discussion over to you. I will be here to advise if you have any questions on anything, but the Chairperson Bandy, the floor is yours.
Without further discussion, I mean, do we just go to the floor or to the public comment or no?
So basically what you'll do is you'll discuss, if you'd like to discuss, and then make your recommendation.
Okay.
Then we'll go to public
Then go to
comment.
public.
Anyone from the public can
That's right.
comment. They'll have 3 minutes to speak, and then we can make the determination of compensation. Yep.
My determination is no pay raise to freeze it for the next 2 years.
I second that, yeah. With everything going on, and we have already given him a raise the last 2 years, I think
Correct.
we're good where we are.
I agree. I think that we gave them a pretty significant pay increase last review meeting, and really it puts them in line with some of the other top-tier cities when it comes to pay.
Oh, yeah.
I think
I agree with that, because if you look at the rates, we're right in there.
They're in the top 10 amongst 20
Yeah.
somewhere plus.
Yeah. I think we're good.
Okay. So if you're ready to move to public comment, we can
Yep.
go to public comment.
Certainly.
So the next agenda item is public comment. Members of the public can come up and speak. Just state your name. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Members of the board, Mr. Chairperson, my name is Anthony Tackett. I live on Fairfield Street, been a resident in Garden City for going on 50 years now. Was born here, grew up here, raised my children here. I bought 2 houses here. I've been in this city when we've had good times. I've been in the city when we've had bad times. I've been a regular at city council meetings over the past 2 years, and I would submit that not only do we have poor financial situation in the city, that it is a direct result of the decisions made by our city council and our elected officials. Not only would I advise or ask that you consider to not give a raise, but let's consider perhaps taking 10%. Thank you.
John Murray, Lather Street. First question I have is, they get paid for non-attendance of council meetings. How many are those meetings? And Mr. Smith, how many paid council meetings they get for missing?
So how many do they get paid for missing?
Yeah.
So really, the only provision is in terms of if you miss both scheduled, you can't miss both scheduled meetings in a given period. But there's no, I've never come across
Well, part of my concern is there was an issue where I brought up an issue. There was only 6 council people there. They deadlocked. The next meeting, there was just 6. Next meeting, there was just 6. And what I was asking for is a non-conformity of your city manager. I'm still very disgusted with what I've seen in there, and I wanted a discussion and a review to maybe relieve him of some of his responsibilities. And I don't think at the very beginning of the year, they get a list of every meeting they have. So 1 or 2, I have no problem seeing them being compensated for. But when it gets 3, 4, 5, I think that's abusing the system. I think you need to reduce that number to a defined number. And you are the first group that gets to address what's going on. And sometimes to get people's attention, you know what you do? You cut their pay. So I'm asking you guys to cut their pay by $1,000 for the rest of this fiscal year, and make a motion today to meet 1 year from now and review. If there's been improvements, let's give them their grant back. If it's not, let's take another grant. But we need some sound leadership in this town, and you are the 2 people or the 4 people that can make that difference. What you do is up to you, but I would definitely appreciate you giving them that message.
Anyone else that'd like to speak?
I'm Chuck Wieser, I'm sorry I was late, I didn't want to jump up.
Okay, I'm sorry. You can come up.
Yeah, I thought he looked familiar.
He was here from the beginning.
All right. Seeing no other public comment, so would commission like to reopen discussion or make motion?
Can I ask a question to the general?
So-
So was it the same person that missed the meeting? You said the council only had six, and six. Was it the same person who missed the meetings, or was it different people missing?
Come in and they got paid for it, they got compensated.
But
And there's been a few of them, I don't want to start the mudslinging, there's a few of them I was very suspicious of why that council person wasn't there because of what was on the table. I want our council people here and being accountable.
that's all I had.
One other point of clarification for the board, that suggests we wouldn't be able to meet again in a year because the bylaws of the elected officers it meets every 2 years in an off-election year.
First paragraph, the last sentence of the Open Meeting Act. You can make changes if it's going to improve the transparency and accountability of your organization. So that's where I'm going to challenge your decision as the parliamentary.
Noted. All right, so concluding public comment, we'll move to determination of compensation. If anyone would like to make a motion.
I'll make another comment again. I mean, I was here at the onset of the implementation of this current commission. Sorry, I'm not talking loud enough. I was here at the onset, and I think some of these other guys were at the implementation of this commission because it was lax. There was nothing. When we came in, it was found that council and mayors were severely underpaid for their annual compensation. That being said, they did get a pay raise and another pay raise the second time that we met. What you're saying too, now I'm going to absolutely 100% pay attention to attendance, throughout the meetings, without being able to have that in front of me to make that determination. For me personally, I'm just going to freeze the pay, no increase this year. But obviously, it's, a vote here, so just wanted to make that known. So I will make a motion to freeze the current pay rates for the next 2 years.
Is there a second?
I second that. I do have a question. They get paid for up to 4 absences per year. Can we change that to 2 absences per year? Or do we have to keep it at the 4?
I'd have to look in to see.
Okay.
Right, that's what I was looking at.
Yeah, I was looking at that because he brought it up and I wasn't sure.
All right, any other discussion? So the motion on the floor is to freeze the rate of pay to keep it no change from the current rate for the next 2 years. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. So the rate of pay is frozen as what it was, $10,500 for mayor, $8,000 for council. So with no other business, the meeting is adjourned at 6:14.